Yay!
Yay!
Yeah, thank you, Daniel, for that introductory music.
You're welcome. Thank you.
A very soothing and exciting beginning to this artist living room. So to those of you who are watching, this is the August edition of the Artist Living Room, which is technically kind of the second month only that we're doing this, so it's very good. And my name is Valencia. I'm from Indonesia. And today I'm just facilitating for this session. But the featured artists are the four lovely people who are here with me today. And now I will just allow them to introduce themselves one by one before we will get into conversations about art, about creativity, about how these people have managed to stay creative and even reinvented themselves in various ways during the pandemic and the isolation, and how they've turned those limitations into opportunities. Without further ado, I would like to allow Daniel to introduce himself.
Thank you. Thank you, Valencia. My name is Daniel Berkman. I'm a multi-instrumentalist, composer, and specialize in the kora, which is a 21-stringed harp from West Africa. So I play electric kora, I play traditional kora, I play chromatic kora, I play a stainless steel kora called a gravichord. So I do a lot with kora. That said, I do play a lot of other instruments, usually instruments of a peculiar nature. So an Martineau, which is a French electronic instrument, I play that one. I play the cello, viola da gamba, guitar, keyboards. I love synthesizers and electronic music, so I compose electronic music and film scores and dance scores as well. Yeah, so that's sort of my background. Yeah.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Gemiah. I'm a circus artist. I specialize as an aerialist in aerial rope and straps, but I do a whole bunch of different acrobatic and object manipulation disciplines as well: juggling, unicycling, a tiny bit of hand balancing, tumbling, character, and stilting. Pretty much anything that my inspiration pulls me towards. A little bit of tight wire. But yeah, overall, just a kind of somewhat of a generalist, especially aerialist, but also generalist in circus. And I performed all over the world at this point, cruise contracts and a variety of stuff throughout the US. And it's been put on a little bit of a stop lately with COVID, but that's what brings me to lovely places like this to chat and find other ways of expressing. Yeah, next up, I believe we have Caridad.
Hi, everyone. I am Caridad Rivera, and I guess I do a little bit of everything. Right now, my focus is belly dancing and performance art. I'm a theater major, so I've always been involved in the arts. I studied classical piano and as a child, and into my teenage years, I was in the marching band. I played flute, and in high school and college, I did a lot of theater. And I kind of just stumbled with belly dancing. It kind of just found me, what have you. And all these different signs were telling me to pursue it. I do a lot of visual art as well. And I kind of just combined all these things when I can. The theater, the music, the body paint, the belly dance, and sometimes all together. And I I started a dance troupe, a women's group, not just dance, but we do a variety of things. Some of us are opera singers and musicians, dancers, thespians. And the group is called Sisters of the Blooming Sun. And our most recent gig was going to be in Bali, actually, at the Bali Spirit. And we were going to bring our priestess vibes over there and dance. We were going to do a performance with some other artists that were there too. But with the whole, apocalypse situation happening, obviously that didn't, fall through. It fell through. So yeah, I'm currently in Brooklyn right now, and I am very happy to be here with everybody. Thank you. I think there's one more person from Chile.
Hola. Yeah, my name is Alejandro Cordero. I'm 30. I was born in Bolivia and grew up in Chile. I have family in Venezuela, in Ecuador, in the States, and everywhere. So I would say I'm kind of a traveler. I've lived in many countries around South America, and I studied filmmaking. I like to make documentaries and social filmmaking, like low budget, non-professional actors kind of films that are like, I don't know, small. But at the same time, I'm a graphic artist, and I love to make designs and tattoos and ceramics and a lot of little different things. So in general, I would say that I like to make art in every little thing that I do in my life, cooking or like hairdressing or a little bit of everything. So and I would just add that we met with Valencia and like volunteering in Europe, and I think I found through volunteering I found like a lifestyle that really fits me, and it's the thing I do. I would say that's all.
Yeah, thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. So Ale is kind of the newest addition to the community. This is his first time meeting the group in a way, so he's only connected through me so far. And I would actually like to begin with just letting Ale talk a little bit about the situation in Chile, because everyone else is kind of in the US and quite familiar with the US. So Ale, our last call, you were telling me some things about your situation that were quite shocking, that I was like, whoa, I didn't know that can happen. And I would just like to hear about how it is, your experience of it, how it's affected you and the people around you, and anything else you might want to add.
Sure. Yeah, well, there is, of course, the whole COVID thing happening, in which has affected Chile like really badly. Like we're one of the worst countries on number of cases, and it's just really bad. But the whole situation goes back to actually October last year. I don't know if some of you heard about that. There were like really huge, massive demonstrations here, and political unrest, starting by just a rise in the transport cost, but then the students here started demonstrating, and they were not willing to pay that little rise on the transport cost on the metro, and the different actors of the society just added to their cause, and just many other causes started showing up, and there was like huge demonstrations like there haven't been in like many years. So we had like this crazy scenario, like similar or even probably worse than what was happening recently in the US. It was just like millions of people in the streets, you know, like general strikes. They burned the whole metro, you know, like they were like, it was crazy. And it all converged in the need for changing the constitution, because we had a constitution made by a dictatorship here, and during the 70s, well, actually written in the 80s, but we had like a really long dictatorship, and we still had this constitution that doesn't allow any political changes. And so we had this big unrest, and then COVID arrived and just warns make everything worse in a way. But yeah, so in a way, like all this mobilization made possible to people to be connected already and have like more solutions to make front COVID. But at the same time, yeah, we live in like half of the population of Chile lives in Santiago, so we have a really huge city with a lot of density and hacination. So yeah, it has been crazy. Like the center downtown in Santiago has the longest quarantine in the world, one of the longest. Also, I think Peru or something, but they're like in a permanent lockdown, enforced lockdown since March. So they have been in that they cannot go out home from like 5 months or something. So, and there's a lot of hunger and other issues going on. But yeah, I don't know how much should I like get in details about it. I guess it's more or less like the same situation everywhere.
Yeah, you were mentioning that you needed a permit to go out the house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you need to ask for it through internet, but it's the same it was the same in Peru, for example, which has a similar situation. But yeah, you are just allowed to get 2 permits per week, and for example, to get medicines and to bring it to an elder, you had a permit, or to go to the supermarket. But that made that like just big supermarkets were working and all the small businesses had to close, and like basically made that all the inequalities that we had here that are really big just got really worse because of that. But yeah, militaries are in the street. We have a curfew since October. So like because of the demonstrations in October, that started in October, the government set an emergency state. They put the military in the streets. They bring like tanks and they kill people. And we were going back to normality, and then COVID came, and we got back to like the curfew, so we can go out at night, and yeah, all these crazy measures that, I mean, some of them might work a little bit, but they're really not like well implemented, I would say.
And how are the artists doing over there? Do you know a lot of friends who are artists in Chile?
Yeah. I mean, I would say like the most affected is the live performing artists, like theater. That it's really hard to supply. Like I see a lot of attempts to like make like streaming theater and stuff like that, which is nice, but at the same time, it's like the whole point of theater is to be there, you know. It's like otherwise you watch a movie, kind of, you know. So it doesn't really fulfill the thing. But since the political unrest from October, like artists have turned into really like more political art, and they just continue to like work that way, but from home basically. And there's a lot of, yeah, like digital art now, or like there, for example, projections. There's a big thing that started from the mobilizations that is like projections. They project images or like words like hunger, for example, in like really big buildings in downtown that are visible from the whole city. And this has a big impact in like the whole society. This is replicated everywhere and appears in TV and stuff like that. So a lot of artists have found a way to express themselves, but basically they now find the motives of their art in like injustice or like police violence, or they wanna show all what is happening here. So, and now it's about COVID. It's more like about like solving basic problems. You know, like we're hungry. We need like shelter. We need these, and yeah. So there are like or mental health issues, stuff like that that has to be solved. But there's a really big feeling of anger, and that is growing everywhere, and you can feel that that's definitely people wanting to like go back to the streets. Like the streets were like taken by thousands and thousands of people, and they were all painted, all scratch or whatever, and now they're empty. So it's like a drastic change, you know, from like totally full of people banging pots and everything to now to nothing. So yeah, people really want to go out.
That's really interesting, because I feel like it's in some ways the opposite here in the US. Like, yeah, I mean, I think everyone knows quite a bit about the Black Lives Matter movement and how there's been a lot of demonstrating and stuff. But I feel like actually a lot of that, and this is, you know, somewhat personal opinion, but has been allowed, like it's like the COVID actually created the space for it in a way, because so much of people are busy in their normal lives, and since there weren't tight restrictions on going out, people being in quarantine, actually the more people made it out onto the streets, and there was more space for this movement to light fire, essentially. And which, you know, I'm glad about, although I think it also has been, you know, I'm sure it has affected the spread of COVID somewhat, but my personal opinion is that is much more affected by, I mean, Americans' lack of ability to follow basic rules like wearing masks and things like that, and using precautions, you know, like, I mean, a large portion of the country just is completely ignoring these things, or so many people are even, you know, still calling it a hoax and stuff like that. But yeah, that was interesting for me to think, you know, like, it's like, it seems as though, yeah, there in Chile, the COVID has actually stopped the protesting from happening, versus here it's actually given space for it to happen. But I guess that depends on the way the countries are dealing with the pandemic.
Yeah, interesting.
But you said the protests, the political discussions have kind of moved online, right? You mentioned about these political meetings or something like that.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to mention one of the initiatives from actually my best friend, who I admire a lot, and she just like me, she's very privileged. She has the opportunity to like have food and be well during the pandemic, but she started organizing a lot of other people like us that basically have time and internet connection and everything. And she started organizing a lot of how can be called, like, communal pans that people are already making in the territories. They're like people that doesn't have anything to eat. They just go there, like in the neighborhoods, you know, like people gather around like some kitchen or something, and they give free food to these people. So my friend started making a network of all these nationwide, olla común. It's like communal pan. That's the name in Spanish. And they're making like major like help, you know, like they're like finding donations from particulars or organizations or whatever, and then bringing and channeling this help to the people who really need. And yeah, a lot of, well, that's just an example basically, but also we are like gathering through like this, making meetings like this one, but focused on what is coming up, which is the elections for a new constitution. So like it's a plebiscite, I think that's a word in English also, or plebiscito in Spanish, which is the elections for like drafting a new constitution. And we just basically want to like change it and like make it like fair for everyone. And that's necessary to people to participate, and like, yeah, it needs to be built from the bottom, you know, from everyone. So we have to, on the one side, we have to like make sure like to solve the problems generated by the pandemic, but on the other hand, we cannot like let the traditional politicians to do whatever they want again, because we are focused on these other things. So we are also working on the new constitution.
Well, that's a fascinating time to be like changing your constitution. I feel like during this pandemic, like there's so much that the pandemic has brought up in terms of like unrest. I think what you were saying also, like, I mean, you know, any recessions, and I think similar, this pandemic is causing recession, is like widens inequality. You know, there's a tendency that these situations, then the rich become more rich, and then other people, so many of the middle class end up dropping down. And I feel like it's showing personally like so much need for change in my country as well. Like the way our system is allowing people to continue to get more and more rich, and our middle class has been slowly moving down. And then something like this hits, and the whole system is still built so much for the wealthy, you know, like the stimulus package, so much money got funneled off into big companies, you know, rich people's pockets. I mean, and you see that need for change a lot. But I imagine, like, yeah, same there. It's like really like you can feel the need for change in a time like this. But I wonder, is it
Absolutely.
maybe harder to create that change effectively without being able to go out to the street? Do you feel like this is a good time to be revisiting the Constitution, or would you rather that it was in a more normal time?
I guess we all rather, yeah. I mean, who wanted this pandemic?
I mean, of course, no one wants.
No, it's like it's just unbelievable to just happen at the same time, you know, like, because it was already so crazy. Like, it was a moment that no one has seen in like maybe 40 years since the political strike back in the 70s. But basically, like, it was crazy, you know, everything, all the shops were like blended, like covered with like protections, and everything was closed. People had to walk all over the city like 3, 4, 5 hours to go from home to work, or like there were like everything shut down. It was just insane. I was not here, I was in Europe, but everybody, the news were insane. Like, a lot of people died. A lot of people were like tortured by police. There was a lot of human rights problems, and it's just like crazy unrest. And then pandemic arriving at the same time. It's just So, well, actually, the election for the new constitution was scheduled for April, and I had to be moved to October, and we're hoping that we have it this time. And people say, like, this time we have it anyways. Like, it doesn't matter if there is curfew, if there is quarantine, whatever. We're gonna just do it. But I mean, who knows? Like, they have the guns basically. here is like just the military has the guns, the government rules the military, so basically they do whatever like they want. So
yeah.
Oof. And
Wow.
from somebody that hasn't spoken, any questions about this before? Yeah, quite a lot to take in, even for me. I know I was with Ali in Denmark for a few days when all this started, I think, when the protest, because October I was in Denmark in the art collective with you in Denmark, and even back then you were doing meetings, I think, or kind of coordinating about what's happening back.
I was quite shocked, to be honest, because like the internet was just flooded with like police brutality and military brutality, and I basically I couldn't like actually just like realize or observe or like accept what was happening at the beginning. But yeah, for example, my friend Camille, which is my best friend I was talking to you about, she started immediately like contacting NGOs, and like and international Amnesty and stuff like that for like human rights, and making a lot of work. But I mean, people I know, all the Chileans that live in Berlin, for example, started organizing, making podcasts. If you go to Berlin, I went there, and then you could read like Chilean like slogans in the streets everywhere, in the subway. You could see like the president asking for the president to quit and stuff like that in Europe, you know. So it's like the international community reacted right away.
Yeah, global unrest.
Wow.
It's interesting how it's all happening at the same time, right? You know, the US has their elections this year. You guys are having the elections for the constitution this year. I know Singapore had elections this year as well. So there's just a lot of concurrent things going on.
Crazy year, for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I've been feeling this interesting feeling lately of like something coming to head worldwide. I think there's always a lot of crazy stuff happening worldwide, you know, like there's always inequality and really intense things. And, but it seems like, I don't know, I feel like there's been a flux lately of like, just a lot of like stuff coming to head, really. Like, I mean, COVID has brought out a lot, and also a lot of like, you know, like for example, things around racism. And like, I feel like there's been a lot of like groups like coming out more, where there's like some in many areas more awareness around it. And then in also many areas, like white supremacist groups literally like feeling liberated to come out and show themselves even more. And like, and politically, there's like two sides coming out a lot more. And it's been seems really intense in a lot of parts of the world at the moment. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's been unbelievable what's happening here in the US. And I know that in many ways, being here in the US, I'm very lucky and privileged to, I think, you know, like we're very fortunate as a country in so many ways. And yet I think that's part of what makes it frustrating for me, is coming from such a privileged country, I think, a country that doesn't really like in general understand how fortunate we are, and yet still is supporting the same inequalities in a way, like, and I think like, I feel like we could do so much better. And I'm hoping that we do. I'm hoping that, that as, you know, like that some of these movements can really set foot and create change for the better.
Yeah, so Ale, I will come back to you later on. I want to just now hear from Daniel and Caridad, because they both work in the live performance side of things, and how the pandemic situation has challenged you and how you've dealt with those challenges. I don't know who wants to speak first. I'm open either way.
Caridad,
Yeah, sure. So yeah, as a performer, it was disheartening to not be able to go out and, you know, perform and gig and all that, which was part of my part of how I was making money, as well as doing production work, which also isn't happening either. Stagehand stuff, building sets and all that. Yeah, as far as like staying home and focusing my energy elsewhere, there wasn't much change in that aspect for me. I'm kind of like totally okay with solitude or staying home and just working on my craft. And I did do a few shows online, the Zoom life, and that had to be something to get used to. And yeah, it's not the same, like live performance versus a Zoom performance. It's still cool because you're connecting, you know, you're still connecting worldwide even, which is totally awesome. How was I feeling during the whole thing? In a way, I felt like less pressure to deliver, because I almost felt like we were all kind of going through the same thing, you know? And like my creative juices never stopped. I just would do, you know, home videos and worked on some more graphic media art instead of performing. Now in New York, venues are opening, you know, a la fresco, very European style. And they are allowing people to perform outside and whatnot. So things are finally moving forward. And Brooklyn, yeah, a lot of manifestations here in Brooklyn. And every day there's protesting and manifesting. And yeah, the energies are like all over the place. Well, they've been able to go outside and, you know, create outside away from people, like going to the mountains or the beach or whatnot. The creation process never stopped for me. And I just had to shift my energy elsewhere. I was doing deliveries for a while to make some money, Uber Eats. And yeah, I don't know. I felt okay staying home and working on my art. Some people are really scared, and it is a scary situation. And it's kind of like the Twilight Zone, all these things happening at once, the elections, the riots, you know, the COVID-19 thing was, you know, we didn't know what to expect in the beginning. I was a little bit, you know, I mean, I think we were all nervous, and still don't know what to expect at this point. Kind of like anything could happen. But yeah, I was okay during the whole thing. I'm fortunate, you know, to be okay, not have any worries in terms of having a place to stay and food and all that.
Yeah, later on, Caridad, we can show the video of what you've done during the pandemic with the circles that you've done and some Zoom performances. But now I think I want to hear a bit from Daniel and how you've done things a little differently, learned a few new things that maybe you wouldn't have done without this time of stopping.
Yeah, it's been a It's been quite a shift, actually. I guess my day job is accompanying modern and ballet dance classes. So for a long time now, I've been that's been sort of my day job, and sometimes there were evening classes as well. But I've been doing that about 20 years. And I have to say, this past year, I've just been really feeling this, like, okay, what am I doing with my life? Like, kind of feeling this pressure to live my life in a more purposeful way, both as a human and as an artist. And I was really kind of feeling this anxiety, even at the beginning of the year, and possibly for the past couple, 2 or 3 years, just feeling like, what do I really want to do? What do I want to do when I grow up? That kind of thing.
You mean you have grown up?
Exactly. Surprise. Yeah. So when the COVID thing happened, it was like, and I also had projects. I had some shows that were scheduled to perform. I had just finished writing a whole score for Raw Dance, which is a really cool dance company here in San Francisco. And I wrote this piece for Katie Wong, one of the chief choreographers, and we were so proud of this piece. And ironically, it's called The Healer. So it was based on sort of Chinese healing practices, and I'd been practicing Tai Chi Chuan for years, and things of that sort. And so it was right up my alley, and we were just a week away from this big performance, and gone. Along with all my dance classes and all of the, there were some other gigs, other things in the books, and just all gone. And so it was, in a way, it was kind of a shock, but also in a way, it's like I went right to this place of, oh, it's all about me now. Like, it's all about me. It's about me, my work, whatever I do. That's, it's not about showing up for somebody else or showing up for, oh, I have to be there on time. No, there's none of that. It's like, what do you have to give? What do you have to offer? What's in you that needs to get out? And yeah, so it from that point on, it became this sort of internal process, and seeing my friends and family and just seeing the whole world go through this, and also what was happening politically, and I realized, wow, we're all sort of being called to access our true calling, for the lack of a better word. Like, what is your calling? Some people, I don't know. We all have our different things, and for me, it's really about. I'm just going to say this is really cheesy, but there's this sort of offshoot of astrology called the secret language, and my secret language is in the secret language you have a sort of purpose that you need to, what is your purpose in life? What do you need to do? And for me, it's just coming out of my shell. It's nothing really that big. It's just like, you just need to find the encouragement, find the empowerment to express yourself in some way. And I realized I haven't really spoken like this into a camera, and I'm a performer, in years, like maybe ever. Like, I can't recall ever doing this, like doing a Facebook Live or doing anything like this, or, there was this thing called Skype back in the day, I know Skype is still around, but now it's all about Zoom. And now I'm in front of the camera every day, and I just decided to do that. I think it was in March. I said, okay, let's do this. Let's just go live. And I brought out my instrument, the kora. I thought, well, okay, the kora would be a perfect sort of vehicle for that. It's an instrument that people are like, wow, what's that? And it's always intriguing. And so I thought, okay, I'm just going to play some kora for people, and just went live. And I was like, I can do this all the time. This is great. And I really felt comfortable in front of the mic. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much, but I found this garden a few blocks away about 2.5 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, and decided, oh, this would be a fun place to play, like in the morning, and just share this with people, just to give people something nice to look at and to listen to, and to sort of calm their nerves, And so I've been doing that 2 days a week, live on Facebook, and it's just been a wonderful thing to do in a lot of ways, and it kind of keeps me grounded. It's good for me, and it seems to be appreciated by people who want relaxing music, you know.
And how does it feel different from an actual live performance, in your opinion? Because you've been doing this regularly, so you've kind of gone through the trial and error sort of phase. And how does it feel in a way for you?
I mean, it's really different because when you do a live performance, it takes time to prepare for the gig. You got to get prepped, and so you're looking nice. You got to drive to the gig. You got to look for parking. You're dealing with parking issues. Then you get to the gig. Okay, where am I playing? Where do I set up? Okay, set up. You set up there. You're meeting people. Okay, you're trying to set up. People are talking to you, and like, you know, there's a whole thing, and there's joy in that, but it's also a lot of work, and it's time consuming, and it's a lot of energy, and it can be distracting, and so you have to find a way to focus that energy on the music, focus that energy on you know, because an artist has to be centered, and so that the artist has something to give, you know. Or if you're an improviser like me, you're just showing where you're at. So if I'm nervous or if I'm agitated, like, I might just show that in my performance because I'm an improviser. So that's the upshot to what I do. But what I appreciate about this experience of just doing things on Zoom is I really get to focus. Like, especially when I go to the garden. It takes me maybe 15 minutes to set up, do a little sound check, nobody around, you know, I'm surrounded by trees, and I just press live, and I'm like, I'm surrounded by trees all alone in this little itty bitty forest, and there are 37 people watching me, 37 plus, however many people, I don't know. Maybe 100, maybe 200. And that's kind of neat. But the other cool thing is, though, this is the window we have to do this. Like, when or if things get back to normal, you know, why would I go to the garden and play for, you know, why would I do that? Maybe it still makes people's day. Maybe it still is something I need to do, but I wouldn't have done it. I definitely would not have done it because I hardly ever walk in my neighborhood, first of all, except for now. Like, I've really gotten to love this city because, and before I was kind of getting resentful towards the city just because of just the chaos of just people working hard, and then all the homeless people, and then you got the techies taking over, and you've got all this. It was just this chaos. And now it's like people are just stay home, stay put. It's like, oh, but we can still go out and take walks. We can still go to this place, that place. And it's like, I like that there's these just sporadic bits of energy that we can use creatively and joyfully, as opposed to everybody having to be out and driving, having to be out and so they're in a sense, I think it's good for going inward and finding yourself. But after 3 months of being alone, that can be rough too. So it's a give and take thing. It's a process.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, I still remember when things started reopening and you were complaining that the meter maids started appearing, like, and
oh,
like,
God. Oh, my God. When the meter maids went away, when the street sweepers went away, mwah. Like, right? It's like justice.
Oh, I wish I could have been in San Francisco at that moment.
Dude,
wish.
plenty of parking.
Oh my God, the parking in San Francisco.
Oh, but they're back. The meter maids are back. Not as aggressive.
I got lucky the other day. This guy pulled up and he told me, like, just so you know, we're starting again. And I almost gave you a ticket earlier, but he was like, he was nice, and he was like, you know, he's giving people a little bit of benefit of doubt or something. And I was like, oh God.
Yeah. Well, the street sweepers are back. They're back.
They're not as noisy as this, at least, I hope.
Oh God. Well, it only lasts a few seconds.
Yeah. This is not as loud as just now. I'm glad I muted myself for quite a bit, and like Caridad and Daniel were talking for most of that time because it was really noisy. But Gemiah, you haven't really shared about, because for a circus artist, like, how have I know that you performed with me at the May concert, but aside from that, have you been engaging in other creative pursuits, circus related or otherwise?
Yeah. So yeah, this has been a really interesting time for me. The kind of introspectiveness that I think a couple people have talked about, and yes, I've been finding myself, you know, it's kind of like at a decision-making point in life, you know, where circus is a challenging way to make a living and a lovely way to do it, and I've been enjoying it so much. But it really takes a lot. You have to put a lot into it, you know, unless you just started out as a young kid, got good training, and it like was just already pre-laid out for you. Most people in the US that decide to do circus start a little bit late. I'm lucky in that matter. I started when I was 10, but still I didn't have like real training until I was 16. And it's a journey. And so coming up to this point where it's like all the work, all the plans that I had were just kind of shut off, you know, like, you know, I was supposed to be on a cruise ship performing, you know, a month ago, flying to Germany 2 months before that for rehearsal. I was supposed to have a bunch of gigs in between the time that I got back from my last contract. And all of that was just like gone, like the rug just pulled right out from under me. And at first, you know, like I landed like, you know, flat on my face, you know, like, and not in a bad way. It was in many ways in a good way. Like I needed rest. I needed to just let all that go. And that was great in so many ways. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna just relax. I'm gonna watch some freaking Netflix or whatever other streaming website, and just and let go of this kind of intense buildup that I've had for years. You know, for me as a circus artist, I've been so fortunate to have the freedom. I've been so fortunate to have so much laid out for me, you know, like I was really lucky that you know, because I didn't come from, you know, like a well-off family or anything that could support me to like take the expensive classes. And there's so much that's an expensive investment actually here in the US to become a circus artist. But I was lucky, you know, my coaches like would just make ends meet for me. I had so many things, like I ended up like getting sponsored by a coach to live in San Francisco for free for over a year. I had like so many things that were huge blessings. And at the same time, I had a lot of pressure always put on myself to continue to develop, to get better, to become a circus artist. And now here I've come to this place where those goals are still there, but it's like, it's kind of like, it's as if this was the moment, you know, like if I did want to put my focus somewhere else, this is the time, you know, like literally like I have no idea when my profession will actually be monetarily like functional again. And so then it's been that moment to think about that for myself and realize I still want to do it. You know, like I still like circus is where I'm at. And so instead of this being a branching out maybe to doing different things so much, it's been actually like a self-questioning and diving back in, you know, like, and diving back into like, okay, I'm going to train. I'm going to continue to develop these skills and take this time to deepen my connection to what I do. So I wouldn't say it's been as much of a like trying different things as much as like diving in deeper and really just training, you know, training in the apartment, going outside. A lot of people, I'm reticent to say the sun line because a lot of people are not fans of rigging from trees, but I've been very carefully finding strong, like appropriate trees to rig my aerial from, and training outside, which is beautiful. Like it's been amazing. Like I've had so many, like watching sunset while I'm training my straps, and it's gorgeous. You know, I'm outside, I'm getting that fresh air through a mask most of the time. And also having connections with people, like that performance has become, instead of performing on a stage in front of hundreds of people, I'm performing maybe for whoever's walking by at the park, you know, and I've had amazing little connections with kids. You know, these kids come up and they're just like, wow, you know, they're like looking at me. And that was, you know, my wonder, you know, that's when I first saw Circus. Like, that's exactly what I felt and what brought me down that path, or allowed that opening for me to find my path. And so then I'm trying to share that, you know, like some of the, you know, like there was 2 girls that came up while I was training the other day that are probably, I think they were about 8, and they both had like done some little bit of gymnastics, and they were so inspired by what they were loving it. And it was great. I was like, yeah, you know, go find some circus classes. And I mean, of course, none of that's happening at the moment, but I'm just hoping that, you know, like maybe they'll go get in the circus gym, you know, down on 7th Street, Kinetic Arts, where there's a bunch of places around, and start a journey similar, you know, like, and who knows, I think for a lot of people, circus is a great thing to do as a kid, and then they move on to whatever other job they, you know, or whatever their real job is. But I love to see that inspiration in other people. You know, that's so much of my goal as a performer, is to inspire other people. You know, I think there's 2 main things that I hope for in my performance, is inspiring other people to be physical and in their bodies and use their bodies, you know, use our, you know, to be physical beings, and to build bridges, to connect with people, from, you know, from everywhere, the people around me in my community, the people that I might perform with all over the world. And one of those is harder to do right now, because it's harder to reach more people. At least for me, I'm not very good at doing it online. I've done some online shows, some with Metamorphosize and a couple others, and those were lovely, but it's not like my strong point is live streaming all the time.
Would you consider teaching circus, whether now or in the future?
Yes. I love teaching, and it's a little difficult to do it right now unless you are doing something particularly built for other people doing in their homes. A lot of my friends are teaching flexibility classes or workout classes and stuff like that online. And it's actually, it's one of the best ways for circus artists right now to make a living, because they can do really fun classes. I decided
probably do videos or something too, right?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. And that stuff is all good and could be really fun, but it's not really, again, my strong point is the, like, I don't know, the online interface is more challenging for me. And I've decided to put my focus more internally for, you know, coming back to performing after this. But I've thought about it, honestly, and that's been another question for me, is like, how can I start to create a more available online presence for myself? And I think it would be something good for me to dive into a little bit more. There's a lot there. I mean, it's such a big part of the world now, but I'm all about performing in front of people. You know, I love the feeling of being in front of an audience, the connection that happens there. There's something incredible about live performance, live connection that is, you can't replicate it. And for me, it's so enlivening as a performer to feel that, you know, it makes it so much worth it. I have to admit, I love attention, you know, I love being in front of people. But it's not just that, it's the back and forth. It's, you know, it's performing and feeling that attention of the audience, and the way that it allows me to give more to them. You know, it doesn't matter how good you are of a performer. When you're performing without an audience, it's never the same as when that audience is there. You know, you can do a perfect act, but there's something when that audience is there and you can feel the feedback back and forth, it gives it a new life.
It's like that with music too.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's like we need an audience, and when we're doing things, like when I play live, like I have to kind of envision or recreate what it's like to have an audience there within myself. Like, what does it feel like to have that audience? Like, I just imagine right now they're just like gasping with air, with anticipation of my next note, you know, and I can hear them, you know, or they're clapping, or so there is that. We have to use our imaginations, I guess.
Totally, and that's actually that.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say that I feel like that distance of audience and performer that you're creating because of the online thing and also just connecting to people in general in times of isolation, where you're not usually meeting each other in person. You're usually calling them, video calling, or whatever. I kind of feel like it has been an interesting exercise for me in experiencing connection that is less tangible, and yet still there, you know. So it's kind of like an energetic sort of sensing, where it's less direct than, you know, if you are with them in that room, but it's still there, and like kind of sensing that energy, also as a performer, you know, feeling that energy of the audience through the live stream when I'm performing, because I can sense a difference between me performing in the room with no video recording and with no audience, versus even if I'm just video recording, even if it's not live stream. You know, I kind of feel like I'm already performing to an audience, and the audience is my video camera, which is fascinating. You know, and sometimes I think of it in terms of like, maybe somebody will watch this 5 years, 10 years down the road, and that's my audience. And there is a certain time gap. Like, I'm performing right now, but my audience is in the future. So that's kind of a fascinating thing for me to think about as well. That there's still that energy, you know? So I'm like, am I feeling energy from a future audience, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It is something kind of economical about that too, right?
Economical?
Yeah, I don't know why that word came up for me. Just in the sense that, like, when you go to a live performance, like, how many times have I played at Farley's across the street and there were 3 people playing there? You know what I mean? Whereas I could spend the same amount of time on live and there are 90 people, you know, and you could put up a tip jar, right? That's the other thing we could do. We could put up our PayPal, and that's, so there are ways to, you know, and people are very generous. I think they're more generous now than they've ever been. People want to help and people want to support. And that's something I've always had a hard time asking for money, you know, like even when I perform live, I hated having to put out a tip jar. It just felt weird. But then before I went live, I looked at other people's performances. I'm like, how are they doing that? Are they putting up a tip jar, or what are they putting up? You know, and then there was people putting up their PayPal, or actually one of my favorite musicians, she posts a cappella videos on Instagram, and she has this thing called Buy Me a Coffee, and you put it in your bio, and you'll link in the bio, and then you go up to the bio and it says buymeacoffee.com. Like, what's this? And I checked it out, and you could buy her a coffee. It's like, you know, and then it'll say so-and-so bought you a coffee for $5. So-and-so bought you a coffee for $20. Somebody just bought you 20 coffees, you know. I'm like, that's a really cool idea, and it's creative, and it's like, you know, I want to buy that person a coffee, you know. And so there's just, we can get creative with how we, you know, ask for what we, you know, what we're worth, I suppose, you know.
Yeah, that's actually cute, the coffee thing.
It's really cute, and I'm threatening to do that. I think I just might do that on Instagram.
Yeah. So I'm gonna quickly go to Ale and then back to Caridad with the video, because I haven't heard from Ale about what you've been doing art-wise with your pottery and visual arts during this time, and if that has been affected in any way by what's going on politically and COVID-wise.
Well, in my case, I, not as Gemiah, I didn't want like deep into myself or like Daniel. I just actually diversified and tried different things and started and trying ceramics, which is also, like as Daniel said, maybe something I wouldn't have done, maybe, like probably not, but yeah. And sorry, I just was thinking about what you were saying, and you all were saying also about like showing yourself in the internet, and that's one thing that I've been struggling a lot in this time. I've never been really good for it, like doing it, and it just I have these contradictions, right? Like I have a lot of drawings that I don't upload, and I just keep to myself. And even if I feel like that, like that retribution you were talking about with live performances and music with my drawings. You know, like I have this notebook that I like to show people from hand to hand and see their expressions in their faces, you know, and that's how I shared these drawings. And a lot of people tell me like, you should upload it. I love upload them to Instagram stuff. And I think it's a good idea, and I really cannot say like why I don't do it, and I cannot point out like the reasons that like this is why I don't do it, but it's just this feeling that I don't want to do it. Yeah, but well, going back to the question, yeah, I'm also, I don't know if there's much to say about it. You know, like I'm privileged. I can. At the beginning of the pandemic, I was able to draw a lot. Then I got bored a little bit because in my case, I take inspiration from a lot of the experiences that I'm living. You know, if I'm in Peru, I'm looking at the ceramics from there or whatever, and like the ancient culture or anything that, or like wherever I am, I'm like observing stuff, graphical stuff, and then redrawing it. And I don't do that from like internet sources because it doesn't really touch me, you know, like it's more like, yeah, I can find a beautiful picture or like inspiring picture in the internet, but since it's not like an experience for me, it doesn't like create like this bond or something or whatever that really makes me want to redraw it or like make something from it. It happens sometimes when someone that I really appreciate really shows me something that it's like, oh, look at these, I really like these, and then maybe I can like start drawing from there. But since I'm blocked, not too much. But then yeah, I started doing ceramics and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Alice
I
drawing.
also I'm sorry. I just wanted to
No, no,
mention that I'm also very connected to my body, and I am doing handstands and stretching and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm being very like methodic on like studying German and doing handstands and then yeah, like you know, doing chores, stuff like that. Yeah.
do you want to show that little ceramic thing that you did?
Yeah, this is a little pipe I made. I've done a whole bunch of these ones, but I give them for presents and stuff like that. This was the first one, so that's why it's still at home. But then I'm making like newer and better ones, and those are like for presents in general. But yeah, also like all kind of pottery and stuff for the kitchen and useful stuff, little things like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Alice's drawings
beautiful.
are really, really amazing. I feel like I would love for you to show more of it because the ones that you've shown on Instagram so far, like I feel like I've seen a lot better from what I've seen from your notebooks. You know. Yeah.
You have
So
some more of those
Yeah.
on Instagram, you said? Some more
No,
pictures of
from
them?
this, no. I'm collecting the videos and stuff like that, and I guess I will because people say like, hey, I would buy one of those, but
Yeah.
also I have this problem with like actually charging people from things. Since I started tattooing, it's the
Oh, yeah.
first time that I was accepting money from my art or my work or whatever, because
Right.
before that I was like doing drawings and then I would give away like copies of it or like little
Yeah.
fanzines or like little booklets or like things like that.
Oh,
But
try buy me a
then
coffee. People can buy you a coffee for your work, you know,
yeah,
or something. I don't know.
yeah, maybe well, I don't know, I just give like a fountain of ceramic the other day to like uh, an aunt, a friend of my whatever, someone, and they were like really like, you have to sell this kind of stuff. I know a lot of people that would buy it, and I'm just like,
Mm.
yeah, sure. I just yeah, I don't know. I don't. I really don't feel like putting my energy and like making it visible in Instagram. I'm not against it. I'm willing to. I just don't do it. You know, it's just like I don't know if it's laziness or what. It's
Well,
just,
hey, that's your choice, right? I mean, I think.
yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm interrupting. Am I interrupting you?
No. Please, go ahead.
I think, you know, like that's the beauty of art is it's given in however we choose to, you know. And for me, I've chosen to make my living as a circus artist. And so part of that is figuring out how to take money for it, which is super hard. I hate asking for money, you know. The other day I was just teaching a juggling class and as like a one-on-one private and the guy like he accidentally gave me too little money. And I almost just walked away and like fortunately he realized and was like, oh shoot, I'm supposed to give you more, huh? And I was like, oh yeah, thanks. Because I hate that feeling of asking for money, you know, it's never comfortable. But I've also realized, you know, like in that case, I was like, okay, whatever. It was like $10 or something like difference. What didn't make that a difference? But it's important to be able to ask if that's what you want from it. But I think art just given is amazing. Like there's something more beautiful about that, just the giving, you know, but you have to find the balance depending on how you want to live your life. And for me, like, yeah, like I have to be able to ask for money. But I still struggle with it all the time. I'm always like not wanting to put value to myself as an artist.
Yeah, kind of like Ale, I've also given away a lot of art. Like I just make gifts for friends and I give it away. And I always forget, right? But along the way, I will have friends who are like, yeah, I still have that drawing that you gave me like 10 years ago. And I was like, oh my God, I don't even remember. But it means a lot to them. And for me, that means a lot to me then that they still have it. So there's something special about that as well. I feel like I've left pieces of me behind in the different places that I went with this little, you know, and in my years couch surfing, I also gave a lot of these little gifts to the people I stayed with as a token of appreciation. So yeah, kind of leaving little pieces behind. And Caridad, I want to hear about these activities that you've been organizing, the drum circles and things like that in this time. I kind of think it's interesting to hear from that perspective of like a real life activity rather than like a solitary or online kind of thing.
Yeah, well, the drum circles are every Sunday from 4 p.m. to dusk in Bushwick in Brooklyn. And it's really nice to be a part of the community like that. Speaking of asking for money and all that stuff, yeah, I kind of fall into that situation as well, where, you know, I've done a lot of pro bono gigs, and they've also opened opportunities to do other gigs that do pay. And you kind of get caught in between this you know, your humility, like you want to be humble and this is your art and you want to inspire people, but at the same time, you know, other people are getting paid a lot for, you know, for doing their art as well. So I think it's important to find some sort of balance, not all the way, but where you're not making any money, because then without making any money, you can't proceed to make more art. Like I need money to make more art, basically. But yeah, the drum circles are on Sunday, and so many musicians come. It's really nice. We had an oud player last week, saxophone, trumpet. Yeah, the
nice.
oud.
Love the oud.
Yeah, and yeah, and then the girls and I, we go, and we do we initiate every, you know, they have a from 4 to 8 or from 4 to, you know, until it gets dark, and we kind of bless the circle and do our dance, swords, veils, all that, and we kind of start the circle. Every time there's a break, we initiate, and then next thing you know, there's like all these people joining in and dancing, and it's so cool to see people from like, you know, all types of people, different, just different cultures, different ages, little kids, 3 years old, like everybody. And it's nice, we've been doing that for a couple weeks now, and it's been really great. And it's actually happening right now. I'm not there. Yeah.
Like right now? Oh no.
Oh.
You
Okay.
know.
If I'm not there, it's all good.
I wish I could bring my djembe.
Oh,
I'd be there in a minute. I'd be there in a heartbeat.
Or your kora, because we connect we have a sound system. So the oud player was actually an electric oud player.
Anybody I know? What's his name?
You know what's funny? I know 2 players in New York City. One's in Italy from Spy of Cairo, Zeb. I don't know if you know him. He's Italian. He's in Italy right now. He's been there for months, since before the quarantine, since before the lockdown, whatever. And the guy who came last week his name is Alejandro Triano.
Okay.
I only know, I was like curious. I was like, who's that oud player? Because I only know one other oud player and himself. I follow him on Instagram. I finally got to meet him in person.
Because I have a nude player friend who I think lives in Brooklyn. I think his name is Kane Mathis, and he's also a kora player. So he's an amazing kora player, an amazing oud player. So I thought maybe it'd be really cool if it was Kane Mathis who came to that.
It's not Kane, but you should let Kane know.
Yeah, if he's still in Brooklyn. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's, and we're focusing on the website. We're focusing on things like that. The website, acquiring footage. We get together every Wednesday via Zoom, and we skill share. So 1 week I'll do a Saidi choreo, which is a folk dance from Egypt. Somebody else does silk fans. Then the week after that we'll do yoga, and somebody else does sword. The next week someone will talk about performance, stage presence. So we all have different skills, and we share these skills every Wednesday via Zoom, just to keep us connected and to keep us fresh. And as far as the summer is, how it's progressing, we're just focusing on strengthening our skills, working on social media presence, and keeping ourselves connected. And the drum circles on Sunday, and also a few little adventures in the woods and what have you, or even the beach, even a beach day. We work on our drills, we work on our fire skills, and our, we're always constantly working, trying to learn new things, strengthen what we already know.
Yeah, and I'm actually curious, Caridad, because when Nikki introduced you to me, she mentioned you as being from Cuba. Did you actually live in Cuba before, or were you in New York like all your life?
Yeah, no, I'm second generation. I'm first generation born here. So I was born in Los Angeles, but I pretty much grew up in New Jersey, and now I'm in Brooklyn. And but I've been to Cuba 7 times. And my mother is like super hardcore. She's hardcore Cuban. She raised me with, at home it was Cuba, but I went to school here. I was born in the States. So first generation actually is on its own thing, because when I go to Cuba, I connect with people there, but I'm the American, and here I'm not so much the American, depending on who I'm talking to. It's strange how it fluctuates, right? And I am bilingual. So some people are like, oh my God, I love your accent. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm American. So it's like, and there's just that duality of being American, but being raised like from with immigrant parents. So yeah, I'm connected, I'm definitely connected to both my roots and living here and being born here and whatnot.
Yeah. Okay, so since we're close to the end timing, Caridad has a short 4-minute video of the drum circles that she's done, as well as a few of her Zoom performances, which I'm gonna showcase. And then I think we'll have a few last words, and then Daniel, you can do a showcase at the end, and I will leave it open for you to do it however long you want, and listen to your music like however long. So
I won't go too long.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna play your video now. Let me see. There you are. Oh, is that it? No, it's not. Where is the video? Give me a sec. Okay. Oh, I can play it from here. Can you see this?
Yes.
It's
Not seeing it yet, but
It says you're screen sharing, but it's just black. There it is.
there it is.
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna play. Is it playing from the start? Oh my god, I'm sorry. It's taking a while. It's not. Okay, I'm gonna try something else. Sorry, because just now it worked, and now it doesn't. Technical problem. Now I have it. Zoom, share screen. There you are. Okay. Sorry, is it just me or is it really lagging?
It's super choppy.
Yeah.
Super choppy. Yeah.
I don't know if it's just my computer or the connection, but earlier it was working fine. So I don't know if it's
earlier it looked a lot better, but
yeah.
And you look fine, like your video is fine, but when it's playing, it's chopping up a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's really, really choppy. I don't know if maybe Caridad, can you play it from your phone, or should I maybe let me just stop share first.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, Daniel, this is why I generally ask you to help me play.
Yeah, I mean, you could, if you guys want to continue talking for a little bit, you could send it to me, and I could see if I can upload it myself.
Yeah.
Try that.
Yeah. So
just continue having our conversation.
Well, there was actually something I wanted to mention earlier. Oh, go ahead, Valencia. What were you saying?
No. I'm just gonna send it to Daniel so that he knows which video.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you want to send it to me?
Facebook.
Oh, Facebook. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, there was something that came up in the conversation. What you were saying, Daniel, and then Valencia had some responses to is the performing, like the difference of performance live and versus you know, like actually live versus, you know, Facebook Live or Instagram Live or even like just for a video. And I think it's really true. Like we can have connection to people in many different formats. You know, like I put the most value personally to like in person, but it can be a beautiful connection over from Zoom or whatever. I've had so many great conversations and connections on Zoom and performances too. And but something that I found really interesting is actually the difference between performing on Zoom or over a different media platform versus performing in person. There were some things that I actually really liked. There was something I liked about the internal space, kind of what you said, Daniel, is like you just, instead of being at a gig where you have to figure out all this stuff and all these distractions, like it's just you're just doing it.
Meter maids.
Yeah, exactly. When you're thinking about all those San Francisco meter maids that are about to nail you, you know, and you're like, I'm gonna lose half my money from this gig. So
exactly.
Yeah. But really, yeah, like I had some experiences performing where I didn't get any feedback from the audience. And I kind of loved that because it meant that I just had to perform and I just had to give it my all. And I knew they were watching and I knew that that meant I had to give it my all, but I couldn't tell what their response was. So in a certain sense, I was like, I don't care. And in the other sense, I was like, I'm giving it my all for them. But in that, there's something I think that exact actually feeling is what you need as a performer on stage almost every time is to give it your all, to try to create that feeling with the audience, but also not to always care so much what they think. You know, if you get too caught up in that, it'll pull you out of your performance.
Yeah, that's key.
And so it was a kind of nice exercise to really notice that and think about it, you know, like, because I was like, okay, well, I'm performing for them, but I have no idea what the response is right now. So I'm just going to do my performance and give it my all and trust that it's getting across.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's interesting as a, you know, I've been doing dance classes for so many years, and some of these performances where I'm playing in class are amazing. Like I just like creating these amazing loops, and then the instrument I brought in, everything was just perfect. And how many just hundreds of hours of music are just gone, evaporated, right? And the interesting thing about what's happening now, especially going live on Facebook, is everything is documented, you know, and you could even, and so it's interesting what Valencia was saying earlier about, you know, who's going to see this post, you know, who's going to be my audience, you know, 10, 20, 100 years from now, you know, like seeing this and appreciating it. So there's something too about like maybe more for a musician than a dancer, but unless of course the dancer is videotaping, but musicians create albums, create songs, create things that actually exist in time where you can listen to it any place, anytime. And so that's part of the cool thing about now is like I am building material. Like every time I perform, I'm building material. In fact, I'm just going to plug it now. I've created 3 albums since I've been in lockdown. And I'm hoping to release one by my birthday this Thursday. So it's just one of these, like, it's just one of the things I'm doing, like just going live. And if it was a good enough recording and a good enough performance, why not package it, do a little artwork, and just put it up on Bandcamp. Bandcamp has been a huge thing for musicians right now. And it's another source of income and also a great way to get your music out there. So yeah. By the way, I have your video. I'm ready to play at any time, Caridad.
Okay.
So just let me know. Oh, you're muted, Valencia.
I just made it so that you can share screen as well. And then,
good.
yeah, just make sure you pick the share with computer sound thing. I think you can just play it from Facebook if you want, or...
That's what I'm going to try doing, because it just started playing right away, and I'm like, why not just, instead of... I couldn't even figure out how to download it anyway, but I figured, it's playing anyway, so why not just play it?
Okay.
Yeah, do you want me to do that now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, this is a Caridad's video, and let's hope that this works here. Okay. You guys ready?
Yes.
Wow.
I love it.
Can you move forward?
Yeah. Not using a chain?
Daniel, I think the video can stop. Or... Oh,
Hey.
thank you. So
Well, it
that
was so miniature.
sorry?
It was so miniature.
That was awesome. I loved that. All the different segments and a lot of the cool video effects too were really captivating.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
like
did live and I didn't have any of those effects. And I was like, next time I need a little more ambience. But yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
So those that you've been doing since the pandemic started?
Yeah, I had some shows via Zoom. Some live shows. We're actually gonna have one soon at the end of August, promoting the website and showcasing all the dancers and what have you.
Okay. Yeah, I think technically we're already over time, but because of the technical difficulties, that was kind of inevitable. So I want to just give a space for anyone to share any last words, last comments, last questions before we have Daniel play some music.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, lovely talking with you all, and really nice to meet you, Alejandro. I'd love to stay connected. Maybe if there's get your Instagram or WhatsApp or something.
Sure.
And
Same.
yeah, definitely. Let's do it. And maybe I'll message you on the WhatsApp or something. And yeah, keep creating, keep this life going, keep the good energy. It's a necessary time to keep putting good stuff out there.
Yeah.
It's our duty.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Got to keep the creative flow.
Definitely.
Yeah,
share it.
I was going to San Francisco, to the Bay Area for a few years, and then I got this huge car accident there, and yeah, in Northern California, and now I am in debt with the ambulance. So basically, I'm kind of banned from flying to the US, but I really love it over there. I really like San Francisco and the whole atmosphere over there. But I guess one day I could go over there when my debt expires or something. But yeah, same. Like I really liked your music and your, I don't know, like just attitude, like meeting you in general. So thanks for the invitation.
Mm-hmm. I've never understood why ambulances are extremely expensive.
Yeah. So expensive. Like I'm not gonna pay. Basically, it's like sorry.
Yeah. And Caridad, it's nice to see that you're doing things like out in the open with people, connecting in person. You know, I think a lot of us miss that. I definitely miss that. I've become kind of accustomed to all these online chats and things like that, and I'm doing pretty well staying at home. But yeah, I'm kind of like missing that human connection, you know, the direct human connection, and also performing with people in front of people directly. So yeah, let's see when that happens again. It's been sorry.
I'm saying I really hope to meet you guys one day in person.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Daniel, we have to hang out sometime.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, we're both in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to Cali, and I have some sort of in September. I'll let you guys know if I'm there.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and more people are doing social distance outdoor things here in the city. In fact, my birthday this Thursday, I'm still doing a dance class, a ballet class, and we're going to do it outdoors.
Cool.
So, and they'll probably, we'll be celebrating my birthday as well. But
wow.
So that'll be outdoors, but everybody will be wearing masks and all that kind of thing.
Nice.
California years.
What's that, Caridad?
I'm saying that most of Cali's got fair weather all year, so you could do stuff outside all the time. Oh yeah,
easily.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're very fortunate
it's like
here.
Favorite climate. I'm so I'm so affected by climates. Like it's really easy for me to get cranky if the climate's not right. So yeah, so I Daniel, I'm kind of distracted by that Ondomo gong speaker thing behind you, and I'm just like, I really want people to hear how that sounds, but I don't know if it translates electronically.
Oh yeah, I have. Funny enough, I haven't been playing it much, but I put the light on because it's just so striking. It's really beautiful.
It's like this. Like,
it's hard to describe what it is exactly, but this little wooden box over here is a keyboard called an ondomo, and it's one of the first electronic instruments ever built. And Maurice Martineau, who invented it, made these speakers to go along with it, and one of those speakers is basically a gong. It's like a what do you call it? Some sort of electric thing that all the vibration can go through this thing into the gong. So instead of a speaker, instead of a speaker cone, it's a gong. So you get all these weird overtones and things. It's like a theremin basically, but in a keyboard form.
Can you play the ondomo, please?
Oh, I didn't set it up though. I should have. I should have known that you might ask. But I did. But I do have my kora here, and it's tuned to a blues scale. So I was going to play a little bit of that. I hope that makes up for it.
I'm just kind of like Ale, I want to show Ale the ondomo. Like I think he will be very fascinated. Like he's like he loves electronic music.
Oh, no, I do too. I think it might take a while. I'd have to get everything together for it. If I had known, I would have.
That's all right.
But why don't I take us all out with some kora? Okay.
Yeah. So that's the ending of this.
So this is the kora here. It's it's a chromatic kora actually. It has these tuning levers here.
Just a moment, everyone mute, so that the sound is only from Daniel.
Okay. So I was just going to play a little bit of the sort of the thing that I do when I'm playing out in the garden. I bring out my kora.
Sorry. I think it's coming back from Caridad.
Is it Caridad? Yeah, Caridad, can you mute your
Sure.
camera? Thank you. So yeah, I bring this kora out. Usually it's this one. I bring it on Wednesday and Friday mornings to that garden. And it's all improvised. Mostly improvised, what I do. Sometimes I'll bring traditional stuff and play actual songs I've written or traditional songs from West Africa. But I play around with tunings a lot with this instrument because of the levers. So right now I have it to a sort of blues tuning. Some people really like the blues tuning. And so I'll just do a little improv for you. Thank you so much.
Yay! I was like, is it ending?
Amazing.
Oh, thank you all so much.
It was angelic.
Ah.
Do you play at hospitals? Like you should.
I have.
Not now, but I mean.
Yeah, not now. COVID Cora player.
Oh.
I have played at hospitals before. Yeah, I think people really.
Nice.
It's very relaxing to a lot of people.
Yeah. For sure.
So yeah, we've come to the end of this. We're overshot by 20 minutes, but such is life. Thank you everyone for.
Thank you, Valencia.
Yeah.
Thank you all. So lovely. I've got to get going. But,
Yeah.
hope to see all your faces again sometime soon.
Ciao,
Bye,
ciao.
Um,
Take care.
Bye.